In this example, we're going to identify the corresponding parts based on the congruency statement. For the first one, I'm going to draw these two triangles. And we don't know if they're right triangles or not, but we can still draw these two. They kind of look like right triangles, but they're supposed to be congruent at least. So we've got F, U, and N. And if F is here, then we need to have H right here. Let's make U two angle marks. So U and A would correspond to the same location, and N and T then here would correspond to the same location. We don't know that any of these are congruent within the triangles, but we are told that the two triangles are congruent, so we can logically state that the corresponding angles are congruent between the two triangles. We also know then that FU is the same as HA, UN is congruent to AT, and FN down here would be congruent to HT. So if we write our statements here, let's start with the angles. Angle F is congruent to angle H. We've also got angle, let's see here, U is congruent to A. And we've got angle N is congruent to angle T. So those are our three angles. Now our sides here, we can go UF congruent to AH. And we've got UN. I want to put a little line over the top, our line segment symbol, to AT. And FN would be congruent to HT then. So how could you do this? This would be the answer, I guess, to this question. How could you do this if you didn't want to draw the triangles? Well, if we look, F and H have to be congruent, U and A and N and T. So with part B here, we can just simply state angle T is congruent to angle L. So the first letter is congruent to the first letter in the next statement. Angle A is the middle letter, and E is or angle E here would be the second one in the same position, the middle. The last is N and G, so we can conclude that angle N is congruent to angle G. This also works for the side length, so TA would be congruent to LE. TA congruent to LE, so the first two. The last two would be AN, oops, we'll do this, is congruent to EG. And this one's a little tricky. We can pick now the first and the last. So TN here would be congruent to LG, or the first and the last there. That completes part B.